Okay, so we're going to dive right in to a topic that I know is on every parent's mind, especially as the weather warms up,
Yeah.
and that's swim safety for our little ones.
Yeah.
You guys have sent in some amazing articles about the latest and greatest swim floaties hitting the market in 2025.
Right.
And we are going to break down what's hot, what's not, and what you really need to know to keep those kiddos safe while they're splashing around.
I think that's the most important part, right? Keeping them safe.
Yeah, that's the goal, right?
Right.
This is serious business.
It is a jungle out there when it
Yeah.
comes to choosing the right floaties.
So many choices.
So many choices. But we're not just looking at the bells and whistles today.
No.
We're going deeper, considering the psychology, the developmental stages.
Oh, I like that.
How to match the right floaty to your child's individual needs.
I love that. And we're not shying away from the big questions either. Like, how do you know when a child is truly ready to ditch those floaties and swim independently? We'll get to that later in the deep dive. But for now, let's tackle those trendy floaties.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so starting with the little swimmers, babies 1 year old and under, I was really intrigued by the Mambobaby Non-Inflatable Baby Float.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
What's the advantage of going non-inflatable for this age group?
Well, think about it. Babies, especially at this age, are still developing their balance and coordination.
Right.
A non-inflatable float provides a much more stable base than a traditional inflatable, which can feel tippy
Mm-hmm.
and unpredictable.
Right.
Plus, no risk of sudden deflation.
Yeah, that's always scary. Those videos online of like the floaties deflating and
Oh, yeah.
oh gosh.
Those are scary.
Yeah, I can just picture like a baby happily bobbing along in that, completely secure. The articles did mention that some babies might need a little adjustment period, especially if they're used to traditional floaties.
That's true. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like anything new, I guess.
Yeah. It's a different sensation, and some babies might find it a bit strange at first.
Mm-hmm.
But from a safety and stability standpoint, it's definitely worth considering.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. Now let's move on to our 2-year-olds. Those little bundles of energy who are suddenly obsessed with doing everything themselves.
Oh, yes. Independent streak definitely kicks in around this age.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
We came across 2 really interesting options for this age group. The HeySplash Jumper Float, with those adorable cartoon arms,
I love those.
and the Criffer Kids Swim Vest Life Jacket. And it seems like these represent 2 very different philosophies when it comes to supporting a child in the water.
Yeah, you've hit the nail on the head.
Yeah.
The HeySplash with its arm floaties is all about encouraging those early swimming motions.
Mm.
It allows toddlers to experience that feeling of propelling themselves through the water, which can be a huge confidence booster.
So it's almost like a stepping stone to independent swimming.
Exactly. On the other hand, a swim vest like the Criffer focuses primarily on buoyancy and keeping the child in an upright position.
Okay.
Think of it like a mini life preserver, providing a sense of security and stability while allowing freedom of movement.
Interesting. So at this age, it's less about mimicking specific swimming strokes and more about just getting comfortable being in the water.
Precisely. And of course, we can't forget about the cool factor.
No.
A 2-year-old might be much more enthusiastic about wearing a floaty with cartoon arms than a plain vest, so
Right, they want to look cool.
sometimes a little fun design goes a long way in getting them excited about water safety.
Oh, for sure. At this age, aesthetics definitely play a role.
Right.
Now, before we move on to older toddlers, the articles also highlighted some specialized floaties that caught my eye.
Okay.
We saw the Back Float Safety Swim Trainer, which seems like a brilliant idea for practicing that essential safety skill. Then there's the Laycol Baby Pool Float with a Car Canopy shade. Is so important for these little ones.
Yes, it is.
And finally, the Megartico Trainer Shirt Vest, which offers a very low-profile buoyancy aid.
Yeah.
So many options.
What's fascinating here is that it really underscores the idea of choosing the right tool for the job.
Right.
Pool play has different needs than learning specific strokes,
Mm-hmm.
which is different from just needing a little boost of confidence.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like building a swim safety toolkit, right?
Yes.
You wouldn't use a hammer to screw in a screw, and you wouldn't use a backflow trainer for a baby who's just learning to kick.
I like that analogy.
Yeah. All right. Now for a head-to-head comparison that I know many parents are interested in, swim vests.
Oh, okay.
The articles raved about 2 contenders, the Owlwind Trainer Vest for toddlers and the Mambobaby Vest with arm wings.
Right.
Both seem fantastic, but I'm curious about the specific pros and cons of each design.
Yeah, both are excellent choices,
Yeah.
but they cater to slightly different needs and learning styles. The Owlwind stands out for its adjustability.
Mm.
You can really fine-tune the fit as your child grows,
Okay.
which is fantastic for getting the most use out of it.
Yeah, you don't want to be buying new ones every 2 seconds,
No, not right.
especially with
Yeah.
kids. They grow so fast.
Right,
Plus, its design focuses purely on core stability and buoyancy.
right.
So it's a good choice for parents who want a no-frills, long-lasting option.
Exactly. Now, the Mambobaby is interesting because it combines the vest with those detachable arm wings,
Oh.
giving you more flexibility.
So it's kind of a hybrid approach.
Yeah.
You get the core support of the vest, but you can also add those arm floats for extra assistance with swimming motions or remove them as the child gains confidence.
Precisely. It allows you to tailor the level of support to your child's individual needs and progress.
That's nice. You get the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Some children might thrive with the added buoyancy and freedom of movement of the arm wings, while others might prefer the streamlined feel of just the vest.
Yeah, for sure. It depends on the kid.
Listeners, I want to hear from you. If you had to choose between the Owlwind and the Mambobaby, which features would be most important to you? Which design do you think would be a better fit for your child's personality and learning style? Let us know.
I'm eager to hear their thoughts.
And before we wrap up part 1 of our deep dive, we can't forget about a classic arm floaties. They're still going strong in 2025, and the Skylarly arm floaties for kids got a shout out in the articles for their durability and fun designs.
Oh, yeah. You can't go wrong with the classics.
It's true.
Arm floaties are a fantastic tool for building confidence and getting those arms moving in the water.
Yeah.
They give children a sense of independence and control, which is crucial for developing a love of swimming.
And they look so cute. It's such a classic image.
Right?
Like a kiddo with those bright arm floaties splashing around, giggling. Pure summer joy.
It doesn't get much better than that.
It really doesn't.
Absolutely. But even with those classic floaties, it's crucial to remember that they are not a substitute for vigilant supervision.
Oh, absolutely. Especially for toddlers who are still learning to swim. Arm floaties can provide a false sense of security.
Exactly. We can't let those adorable little floaties lull us into a false sense of complacency.
Right.
Active supervision is non-negotiable, no matter what type of flotation device a child is using.
So true.
Yeah.
Okay, that wraps up part 1 of our Swim Floaty Deep Dive.
Okay.
We've covered a lot of ground, from the tiniest babies to toddlers who are ready to take on the world one splash at a time. But stay tuned for part 2, where we tackle that big question.
Okay.
How do you know when a child is truly ready to ditch the floaties and swim independently?
I'm ready for that one.
Yeah, that's a good one. We'll see you in part 2.
Welcome back. We've been exploring all these fantastic new swim floaties designed to keep our little ones safe in the water.
We talked about different designs, the psychology behind them, and how to choose the best floaty for your child's age and developmental stage.
But now we're diving into a question I know many parents are eager to discuss.
Right. How do we know when a child is truly ready to ditch those floaties and become a confident, independent swimmer?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And it's not as simple as reaching a certain age or magically waking up one day with Michael Phelps-level skills.
I think a lot of parents rely on age as a guideline, like, my kid turned 4, so they should be swimming on their own by now.
Yeah.
But it's clearly more nuanced than that, right?
Absolutely. It's about looking at a combination of factors, starting with swimming ability, of course.
Right.
Can your child comfortably swim a short distance without assistance? Can they tread water for a brief period? Those are key indicators.
But it's not just about the physical skills, is it? I imagine a child's comfort level in the water plays a huge role as well.
You're spot on. Some children are natural water babies, fearless and eager to explore. Others might be more hesitant, needing more time to build confidence and a sense of security in the water. Rushing that process can actually backfire and create anxiety around swimming.
And what about understanding safety rules? Even if a child is a strong swimmer, if they're jumping into the deep end without checking the depth or swimming alone when no one's watching, that's a recipe for disaster.
Couldn't agree more. Knowing how to swim is just one piece of the puzzle. Understanding and respecting the water, recognizing potential hazards, and following safety guidelines are equally crucial, regardless of a child's swimming ability.
So it's not about reaching a specific age or mastering a certain stroke. It's about this holistic combination of physical skills, emotional comfort, and a deep-rooted understanding of water safety.
Precisely. And just like with any developmental milestone, every child will progress at their own pace. Some might be ready to ditch those floaties at 3, others might need them until they're 5 or even 6.
Yeah.
There's no right or wrong timeline, and comparison can be a real trap for parents.
I think it's reassuring for parents to hear that. It's so easy to get caught up in those comparisons thinking, my neighbor's kid is swimming laps. Why is mine still clinging to those arm floaties?
Comparison can be a real thief of joy. It's far more helpful to focus on your child's individual journey and celebrate their progress no matter how small those steps might seem.
So let's say a parent is seeing those signs of readiness. Their child is swimming well, confident in the water, understands the safety rules. How do we make that transition from floaties to independent swimming as smooth and positive as possible?
It's all about making it a gradual process, starting with small steps and building from there.
Okay.
Begin in shallow water where the child can easily touch the bottom if they need to. Let them practice swimming without the floaties for short bursts, gradually increasing the time and distance as they gain confidence.
And I imagine positive reinforcement plays a huge role here as well.
Absolutely. Celebrate those little victories no matter how small. Wow, you swam 3 whole strokes without your floaties. You're amazing.
Right.
That kind of encouragement goes a long way in building a child's confidence and motivation.
And what if a child gets scared or starts to feel unsure? Do we push them to keep going, or is it okay to take a step back and bring back the floaties for a while?
There's no shame in taking a step back. It's far better to listen to your child's cues and respond with patience and understanding than to force them into a situation that creates fear or anxiety.
Yeah.
If they need a break, if they want those floaties back for a while, that's perfectly okay.
Yeah.
It's not a failure, it's just part of the process.
And this brings up an interesting point that I wanted to touch on. What about the parents themselves? I imagine there can be a lot of anxiety around letting go of those floaties, even when a child seems ready. How do we manage our own fears and anxieties so we don't project them onto our kids?
That's such an important point. It's completely natural for parents to feel nervous, even scared when their child starts swimming independently.
Right.
It's a big step. But our own anxieties can inadvertently create fear and hesitation in our children.
So how do we find that balance between being cautious and supportive without being overly anxious and controlling?
Communication is key. Talk to your child about your concerns, but frame it in a way that empowers them. Say something like, I know you're a strong swimmer now, and I'm so proud of you, but I still get a little nervous when you're in the water without your floaties. Can we make a deal that you'll always stay within arm's reach of me when you're swimming in the deep end?
That's a great example of setting clear boundaries and expectations while still allowing the child to feel a sense of autonomy.
Exactly. And if your own anxiety is still getting the better of you, consider talking to a swim instructor or a trusted professional.
Okay.
They can offer guidance and reassurance, helping you assess your child's readiness and navigate this transition with more confidence.
That's such valuable advice. It's like that feeling when your child learns to ride a bike without training wheels. You're thrilled for them, but there's also that little voice in the back of your head screaming, "Be careful, don't fall."
I love that analogy. And just like with the bike, our job as parents is to provide support, encouragement, and a safe space for our children to explore, learn, and grow. Sometimes that means holding our breath a little bit and trusting in their abilities.
I think we've covered a lot of ground here, from assessing a child's readiness to managing our own parental anxieties. But there's one more layer to this conversation that I think is crucial, and that's instilling a deep-rooted respect for the water in our children. So we've talked about choosing the right floaty, assessing a child's readiness to swim independently, and even managing our own anxieties as parents.
But there's one more piece of the puzzle that I think is absolutely crucial for creating a culture of water safety, and that's teaching our children to respect the water.
Respect the water.
Yeah.
That sounds so profound, almost philosophical.
It is, in a sense,
Yeah.
Because water is powerful, it's unpredictable, and it demands our attention.
Right.
We can't just assume that because a child has floaties or can swim a few laps that they fully grasp the potential dangers.
It's like that saying, familiarity breeds contempt. We might feel comfortable around water,
Right.
but we can't let that comfort turn into complacency,
Right.
especially when it comes to our kids.
Exactly. And this respect for water goes beyond
Mm-hmm.
just understanding the mechanics of swimming or knowing how to float.
Yeah.
It's about instilling a sense of awareness, a healthy dose of caution,
Okay.
and an appreciation for the power of this element.
So it's not just about teaching kids to swim. It's about teaching them to coexist safely and respectfully with water.
That's a great way to put it, and it starts with simple things.
Okay.
Like explaining why we have rules around water.
Hmm.
why we don't jump in without checking the depth,
Right.
why we never swim alone,
Right.
why we pay attention to weather conditions and warning signs.
Right. It's like teaching them to respect the ocean, even if it looks calm and inviting on the surface, right?
Yeah,
There might be strong currents underneath. There might be marine life we need to be aware of. Water can be full of surprises, and respecting those surprises is key.
I love that analogy, and it applies to any body of water.
Right.
Whether it's the vast ocean, a serene lake, a rushing river, or even a backyard pool,
Mm-hmm.
each one has its own unique characteristics and potential hazards.
I remember as a kid, my dad always told me to never turn my back on the ocean.
Mm-hmm.
Seemed a bit dramatic at the time, but
Yeah.
looking back, it was his way of instilling that sense of caution and awareness.
That's it. That's it. It's about developing those instincts early on. And it's
Yeah.
an ongoing conversation, not a one-time lecture.
Right.
We can talk about water safety with our kids regularly,
Hmm.
watch documentaries together,
Oh, good idea.
even visit a local lifeguard station and have them ask questions.
I love the idea of turning it into a family learning experience.
Yeah,
And it goes hand in hand with everything else we've discussed today.
right.
Choosing the right floaty, teaching swimming skills, supervising diligently,
Mm-hmm.
and now instilling this deep respect for the water.
It all comes together to create that culture of water safety that we want to foster in our families.
Because at the end of the day, we want our kids to love the water, to have fun, to make memories,
Of course, of course.
but we also want them to do it safely,
Right.
with a healthy dose of respect for this incredible force of nature.
Absolutely.
I think this deep dive has given our listeners a lot to think about. We've gone from picking out the cutest floaties to having these really profound conversations about respect,
Yeah.
responsibility, and safety.
It's been a fascinating journey.
And remember, listeners, it's not just about absorbing information. It's about taking action. Have those conversations with your kids. Sign them up for swim lessons. Model responsible behavior around water. And most importantly, enjoy those splashes and those sunny days, knowing that you've created a foundation of safety and respect.
And if you have any water safety stories,
Oh, I love it.
any memories of your favorite floaties growing up, or even some near misses that taught you a valuable lesson, we'd love to hear them.
Share them with us in the comments. Let's keep this important conversation going.
Yeah.
Until next time, happy swimming.